With the importance of the oil and gas industry in East Texas and the state as a whole, there's a lot at stake in the race for railroad commissioner. Republican Jim Wright and Democrat Krista Castaneda are vying to be one of the 3 commissioners. I sat down with Wright during a campaign visit to Tyler earlier this week. Jim, first, tell me, what do you think the Railroad Commission can be or should be?
The Railroad Commission is somebody that governs our natural resources, oil and gas, uranium, coal. It is an organization that was formed to make sure that we're protecting our environment, we're protecting those resources from non-wasteful type things. But I think there's also a duty with the Railroad Commission to make sure that they are a leader in making sure that our market is there and that our market is sustained.
Along those lines, a lot of people in East Texas obviously work in oil and gas, and a lot of them still out of work because of the pandemic. What would you do or could you do to help get those folks back into their jobs?
You know, that's one thing I've always said in my campaign, and that's one of the things that really brought me to the race here at the Railroad Commission. Although not on the marketing level. Mine was putting together a task force to help write stronger guidance documents for staff to use in rule application. But I think that task force mentality needs to be more implemented to bring industry, landowners, and citizens to the table so that we can come up with a plan to how we're going to recognize what our real competition is today, where is our market, and how are we going to lead that.
How do you weigh the business and economic responsibilities of the commission versus the environmental and protectionism aspect as well?
You know, there's a lot of stuff going around about the environmental protectionisms, and especially when it comes to flaring or fracking. You know, I think that the industry, the Railroad Commission, has done a very poor job of educating people on truly what is the impact to the environment in those 2 actions, or the actions that go against the environment just in the oil and gas industry in general. You know, my background is environmental. I've been in it for 40 years now. I can tell you that the oil and gas versus any other industry we have are leaders when it comes to protection of our environment. And what you tend to see more in the media is we want to abolish fossil fuels and we want to bring on renewable energy. But what you don't see and what's not portrayed there is number one, what is the impact that renewable energy has versus fossil fuel? So you're not imposed on run on or run off or any type of chemical reaching our groundwater when it comes to that. When you look at fossil fuel and what they're saying it's doing to our own zone environment by flaring, those facts are not necessarily true. CO2 is what's being emitted by our flaring activity, although you see methane a lot in the news. Methane is actually burned when that flaring occurs. It's CO2 that gets emitted in water vapors. And they say that CO2 emitting, especially in the West Texas area, is what's really deteriorating the ozone, which is causing our days to be hotter and all the things that you see in the media. I haven't seen the research that pinpoints that that's what's causing that, because CO2 is a natural element in what we have that surrounds us, that makes up our atmosphere. And I can tell you, over millions of years, this Earth has evolved, and it's going to continue to evolve. So what I'd like to see is the facts on the science, on how we've evolved, what has happened to our climate during that evolvement, versus what's being blamed for that climate change today. Excuse me.
So you beat a Republican incumbent in the primary. If you win general, you join 2 other Republicans people who ran as Republicans on the commission. What do you think then that you would be able to change if you were to get there that hadn't been done before?
Well, one of the things that we've seen a lot at the commission, especially over the past 6 years, is not necessarily the commissioners working together as a team. And I can tell you that if I get elected during this election, I think you'll see the best team now formed for the Railroad Commission that you've seen in probably 30 years. That will have the ability to all have a special niche to help serve the people here in Texas. Christy Craddock is one of the commissioners that are there now. She's an attorney, but she's also been a politician for most of her life. Christy is the best thing the commission has when you want to get a bridge that's supplied from the commission over to Texas legislature. Wayne Christian, who happens to be here from East Texas, is another Texas Railroad Commissioner. He has a strong background in financial. He likes talking about financial. He likes to have the ability to get investors back attracted against or with oil and gas. And that's something I think that if you turned him loose to do, he'd do great. My background has always been boots on the ground, understanding rule application, and understanding the oil and gas industry, because that's what I grew up in. So I think the combination of those three would be the best thing you've seen in a long time at the Railroad Commission.